A new law is affecting the way city councils can adopt new property tax rates.
KXII 12's Gracie Savage joins us live in studio to explain what's known about Senate Bill 1851. Gracie.
Jeff and Caroline, the law states a city cannot raise its property tax rate above the no new revenue rate if an audit was not completed in time. Representative Shelley Luther tells me this law has consequences for cities and towns that do not play by the rules.
They always have to do an audit on their budget, which is basically an outside set of eyes that look to see where the expenditures are to make sure everything is correct.
Representative Luther says for a while cities were aware they have 180 days past the end of a fiscal year to complete their audits. For most, the fiscal year runs from October 1st to September 30th, so this means audits should be completed by March 29th. There were no consequences for cities that didn't until now.
This law is great because it puts a little bit of teeth into what was already a law and what they should have been doing already.
Now, without an audit, cities will not be able to raise their property tax rates.
A lot of small towns and cities that were getting very relaxed on that, and it wasn't giving their constituents enough time to make sure that their money was being spent correctly.
Grayson County cities like Whitesboro and Collinsville are trying to raise rates, even though their audit was completed outside of the 180 days. Their argument, they didn't know about the bill until recently.
Our audit was signed off June the 30th, which was past the 180 days since our year ended September 30th, but we were in compliance as of September 1 when that law was put in effect.
According to Harris, a law must state if it's retroactive, but in this case, he says Senate Bill 1851 does not. So Whitesboro believes they are in compliance.
We talked with our attorneys, we talked with the advisor for Grayson County, tax assessors, and we talked to our auditors. And all of those agree with our position that we do not believe that that law applies to us.
Just down the street, Collinsville followed the new law and lowered their rates to no new revenue. Representative Luther says ignorance of the law won't be an excuse going forward.
And they can't say anymore, well, we didn't know. Now you know.
Representative Luther has submitted a complaint to the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who will determine if cities are in compliance and decide if they can raise their tax rates. Live in studio, Gracie Savage, KXII 12.